health and fitness and you run a coaching business, this video is for you in order to learn how to hire and develop a team around you. If you're really good at what you do, then you're going to need help. At some point, it can't just be you doing all the coaching. You're going to need to bring in other people around you. Now, as of today, the staff at BPR has worked here for the better part of a decade, and when I hire somebody, it's not short term. I want to work with them for life. And so these things over the last 17 years, I've figured out the hard way. I figured out through trial and error what needs to be there as a precondition. And then once they work with you, what are the ways that you can continue to cultivate and coach those that you work with? Now, our hiring process has become a lot more condensed than it once was. We had all of these SOPs and processes, but I can tell you that it starts with a 5-minute conversation. And the point of that 5-minute conversation with someone that we could potentially hire is to answer the question, do I want to spend more time with this person? Now, yes, there's a good justification for why you need to tease out and spell out exactly what you want this job to be that you're hiring for. And yes, initially, this person may not be as equipped and as skilled as you are, but all that's pretty teachable. Would you agree? If you're really good at what you do, you can teach most of the specific subject matters of the job once you hire them. But if somebody sucks, well, I don't like your chances, no matter what you're able to teach them, for them being a successful fit at your business. So the preconditions of cultivating someone once you hire them is to make sure you know what it is that you want them to do and make sure that they're the kind of person that you want to spend time with, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with them. Now, second, even when you do hire the right person, you're not out of the woods yet. My father-in-law has a great saying, and he says that business would be easy if there were no customers or people to work with. And while that's funny, it does bring up a great point. Even with great people around you, the way that we handle conflict is the way our professional careers will turn out. And so that's what I want to spend the majority of the time talking about, around conflict, around coaching, around taking these people that are great people, but they need to be developed. How do you do that in a way that encourages and doesn't demoralize? And what are the expectations that you should have for that process? If you work together, and the reason that conflict is hard, if you work together and you like spending time with these people, it means that these aren't just fellow assembly line workers. It means that you have a relationship with these guys. It means that you're growing in rapport with these people that are surrounding you in this job that you're doing. If that's true, then it means that because you like them and because there is that relationship that you don't want to completely violate, you're going to be reluctant to deliver feedback as soon or as significant as is necessary for them to develop. It's going to be off-putting, and you don't want to hurt their feelings. And so what I see is that the majority of people hire, but there's not this great process for continuing to develop. And I don't mean some formal sit-down quarterly review. I mean on-the-job training that as soon as you see something wrong, there's a mechanism in place for them to get better. Now, you may not know this about me, but this is something that comes really hard. This is not something that I'm naturally good at. Delivering feedback is never going to be something that I feel super comfortable with and that there won't be some resistance to before every single time I know that I have to do it. And in a way, I think that that's good. If you're like me, it just means that you care about people and you care about their thoughts and you care about their feelings, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. To be a boss that doesn't care about any of that stuff may be worse than the person that doesn't, but I digress. Now, because I'm not naturally good at this, maybe I'm the ideal candidate to explain or deconstruct this process with how you can go about it. Are you ready? Let's begin. Now, before we talk about the process of delivering feedback, it does make sense that you would communicate the inner workings of your brain. This doesn't mean, hey, turn the lights on at this hour, close up shop at this hour. It's communicating what's really important to you. It's communicating these expectations that if they violate those, there's a 100% chance that you're going to be delivering some coaching to them. It's the only way that they can get better. Without that preemptive strike in place, they're off the hook with what it is that's important to you. So you want to make sure that you don't make any assumptions that because they're here in a gym setting or in a coaching scenario, that they know all the things that you care about. You're going to have to spell that out. You're going to have to take some time to write it out, and you're going to have to take some time to communicate that to them. Now, once that's there, you can bet your bottom dollar that because they're not you, they're going to fall short of that standard. Expect that. Anticipate it and relish this opportunity that you have to encourage and evoke the better practitioner out of them. Now, when they don't meet the standard that's in your head that you've communicated, you're going to give them a preposition. This is like a sentence where this first part sets up the second part. This is like not a compliment sandwich, but more like a feedback hot dog. The bun is the container that prepares the real meat. It prepares the real meal, and without it, it's not really the same. And so there's lots of ways to say this, but the best way that I know how to say it sounds like this. I'm giving you these comments because I have very high expectations, and I'm confident that you can meet them. That's the bun. That is divulging exactly what it is that you're about to do and why you're doing it. It's nice to be on the receiving end, to always have a heads up of what's about to happen versus just hitting them with the hot dog. Now, that's one way, but there's lots of ways to do that. Intention, thing you want them to get better. I found that admitting my own shortcomings and even monologuing on how I'm about to mess this up is a great way to take some of the sting away from it. Hey, Bob, I want to talk to you for a sec, and while this might be premature, this may be way overkill. Man, I love and I respect you so much. I wouldn't want anything to get overlooked where you would miss a chance to get better. Man, that's a lot of words, but there's no confusion about why I'm saying what I'm about to say. Here's another example. Jennifer, I want to talk to you, and please forgive me if I fumble through some of these words. I'm sure I'm going to say something that's not perfect, but I want you to know my intentions are to help coach and refine you. Both of those prepositions, both of those buns are just ways to get out in front that, hey, this may not go perfect, but my heart's in the right place. So once you've prepared them for what's important, once you've delivered some hot dog to them, so to speak, the last part is to be prepared to let them respond however they need to respond. Maybe one of the hardest parts and why we avoid it is that we don't want people to have these responses that are less than favorable. We don't want people to cry. We don't want people to get angry. We don't want them to withdraw. But that's part of being human. If you receive something that says you're not as good as you could be, most of the time, if you're not really accustomed to that, it's hard to hear. But here's what I found to be true. Whereas you can expect people in the short term to respond emotionally, most people that you want to spend more time with won't act like that long term. They have an acute initial response. You allow them to have it. And then very shortly after, you circle back and you ask, hey, what did you hear in that conversation that we had? That's a great way to take that little hot dog and continue to serve that as you need to. So, in summary, hire someone that you could spend a lot of time with, because you will. Let them know what's really important to you and the intentions of the business that you run, especially for the job that they're doing. Be ready to give them feedback the second that they do something that is short of those aspirations that you have, and let them respond the way that they need to after you deliver that hot dog. If you do that, I like your chances of being able to bring people around you and create a very lasting business based not on your own merits, but on the combined merits of your team. This has been a monumental statement about incremental change brought to you by the good people at BPR.